Welcome back to another episode of Wrestle Capsule, where you're going to be getting your weekly dose of pro wrestling talk. And I'm your host, B. So welcome back to the show. And if this is your first time watching my videos, welcome to Wrestle Capsule. We are in season 2 and I am so freaking excited. I have so many ideas for different series that I'm going to be doing with season 2 and moving forward. You see, I got a new background, got a new intro, got new music. We in a whole different room, a whole different space. And I have a lot of plans for what I want to do with Wrestle Capsule. I still will be doing wrestling reviews, the typical Raw review, SmackDown, Dynamite, sometimes Rampage, pay-per-views, stuff like that. I will be doing that, but I won't be doing them as much. If you guys do have a specific show that you want me to review, I will do it, but I want wrestling reviews to not be the focal point of my channel. I want to start getting into the real issues in the wrestling community, talk about the wrestling business, talk about the state of our wrestling community, things that deal with wrestling fans and how certain news that comes out affects the product. Because Wrestle Capsule is not known for wrestling news. Let's just call a spade a spade. I don't really focus my content on wrestling news, but when it does concern the product, whether it's with AEW or WWE, 9 times out of 10 I am going to talk about it. So that's the only time that I talk about wrestling news. A lot of times when it has something to do with the product, like what we see on TV, like what happens in the news, if it affects what we see on TV, I'm probably going to talk about it because it's going to affect how the show goes. So yeah, I'm going to be bringing more of that into Wrestle Capsule and I hope you guys enjoy it. So with that being said, I wanted to start off season 2 with talking about the IWC, aka Internet Wrestling Community, and why I have found it to be very toxic. Very toxic. And I feel like social media has become one of the worst outlets for wrestling fans to not only air out their grievances, but to harass wrestlers and fellow wrestling fans because of difference of opinions, and to become toxic towards them and make the internet wrestling community such an undesirable place to be. Deactivate my Twitter, step away from it. It's so draining. Like I wasn't in any sort of argument or back and forth with someone on Twitter because of a disgruntled wrestler fan. It wasn't any sort of situation like that for me. But when you follow your favorite wrestlers or even wrestling news outlets that you trust enough to go off of, and you see the thread and you see the comments, it is so bad. There were times where I was seeing people sending death threats to wrestlers, disrespecting wrestling fans for having difference of opinion, disrespecting wrestlers, and especially the women wrestlers. Don't even get me started on that, saying that they're gonna rape them or do this to them. I'm just where is what people hide? I'm not talking about all wrestling fans, but there is a lot of them online, especially on Twitter. They do that on Instagram, but the great thing about Instagram is you see the picture, you're scrolling on your feed, you see the picture, you have a choice to not click to see more of the comments, because their comments are horrible, but it's nothing compared to Twitter. It's nothing. I'm so thankful that Twitter has a cap on how many characters or words that you can put in one comment, because it's ridiculous. It's so bad. You know what? I've heard this quote countless times. I don't know who said it first, but I feel like it is so true. Nobody hates wrestling more than wrestling fans. I feel like that quote itself is so sad, but it's so true. I feel like wrestling fans, not all of them, because let me just make this whole thing clear right now. So throughout this video, you know exactly who I'm talking about. And I have to do this because when I don't, people will take one piece and they'll just run with it. And they'll assume I'm talking about every wrestling fan online, which is not the case. There are wrestling fans online like myself who are not problematic and just love wrestling and want to connect with their favorite wrestlers and follow their favorite wrestling shows and just be cool de la with other wrestling fans and talk. If we have a difference of opinion, if we disagree about something, if you like this wrestler and I don't, okay. If you like this show and I didn't, okay. Like, it is what it is. I'm not talking about them. So toxic internet wrestling community, that's what I'm talking about. The people who are causing this much ruckus and are causing such a unwanted environment in the wrestling community. This is who I'm talking about. So moving forward, you know who I'm talking about. With these type of wrestling fans, they are never satisfied. They can be so selfish. They put themselves on a pedestal. They use these social media outlets to not only air out their grievances, and everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but it's more than that. When you start talking about someone's wife, someone's children, someone's husband, talking about their personal life. And granted, I get that these WWE superstars and these AEW wrestlers, superstars, whatever you want to call them, these wrestlers on these shows that we watch all the time, I get that they do open themselves up to this kind of stuff because they do post daily about their lives. They post pictures with their family. They post this, that, and the third. The dirt sheets expose different stuff that come out in the news outlets. Like, we get all that, but I don't think that gives toxic wrestling fans the okay to say what they have been saying online. I don't care what you think. That does not give them the okay to say the things that I've seen on Twitter, and I just had to deactivate because I'm telling you, simply, I don't even engage in those conversations, but just seeing them it's just like one thing after the next, like one post after the next, and I'm not even looking for them. They're just there on my feed. It is so it's a mess. It is an absolute mess. And that is not what I fell in love with. Like, wrestling, that's not wrestling. Like, that's not what I want. And that's not what I want to surround myself with. I don't want to see it. The last thing I want is to see toxicity in just disrespectful, hateful, hurtful comments of ageism, sexism, and just racism, because that comes out in people's toxic wrestling comments as well. Like, I see all of that. So it's enough that our world is toxic. Let's just face the facts. Let's just call it what it is. Like, this world is not the perfect place. It's not a great place. There's a lot of crap that's going on. There's a lot of killing. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of racism and sexism, misogynistic, like all that stuff. And sports, entertainment, pro wrestling, whatever you want to call it, should be a place for us wrestling fans to enjoy the product, appreciate the storyline, appreciate the athleticism of these wrestlers who put their bodies on the line every single week. Come together, join one another, and like, enjoy it. Like, why can't we just do that? Why can't we just come together? And people talk about how, well, that's the wrestling business. I'm like, we're fans. We're not in the business. We are fans. We are watching a product. We are consumers. Okay? We watch it because we enjoy it. We watch it because of the storyline. We watch it because of athleticism. Whatever your reason for it, it might be your outlet. Your life might be not the way you want, and wrestling might be one of the few things that you love to watch. Takes your mind off stuff. Why would you want to be engaged in all that just horrible, negative, just toxic. You're going to hear me say toxic a lot in this episode, but that's exactly what it is. Why would you want to be around that? There's no wonder, no wonder there have been people who were wrestling fans. They loved, whether they love WWE or they love AEW, whatever. It doesn't matter, because it's mostly WWE fans and AEW fans. I'm sure with Impact and New Japan Wrestling and all these other wrestling promotions, there's fans who are toxic, but it's really WWE and AEW fans, where within those fan circles, there's people, those toxic people within that circle who just act as cancer and plague the whole thing, and people end up stop watching wrestling, or if they don't stop watching it, they become casual watchers because they're just like, I don't want to be involved with it, I don't want to be associated with that. And I honestly don't blame them at all.